So this is an overview of Lesson 2.2 of Year 2 of Good Project Lesson Plans. This continues the unit on role models and mentors, specifically focusing on mentors and anti-mentors in this lesson, which is in fact the goal of the lesson, to help students to be able to identify mentors and anti-mentors who inspire them and to be able to describe the qualities of those individuals. Several different elements of assessment are part of this lesson: monitoring students' participation in discussions, and then analyzing the exit tickets. CASEL alignment has to do with social awareness. Portfolio documentation is both the mentor reflections. There are options of both written and or artistic representations, and then the exit ticket. The resources include a 3M's video, and the prerequisite is the lesson immediately prior to this one. There's an optional refresher to remind the students that last class, again, depending on how long it's been since the previous class, you might want to remind them of these different types of skits that they worked with: role models, mentors, anti-mentors, or tormentors, and including frag mentors, reminding them about what these different terms mean, and then let them know that this class is going to be focusing specifically on the idea of mentors and anti-mentors. So that's an optional refresher. The lesson itself begins with a reminder about the 3M's. Just like we have 3E's on the Good Project, we also have 3M's: model, mission, and mirror. You can remind the students that last year, those who participated last year, explored the idea of the mirror test and dove more deeply into their own personal missions. This year is going to be digging more deeply into the ideas of mentors and anti-mentors. So this major activity is 15 minutes. We ask that you lead a class discussion about role models, explaining that even if you don't have deep connections to a personal mentor, we can still learn from the people around us. And we suggest that you model thinking through a particular mentor or role model yourself and something that you've learned from that individual. So you could talk about whatever feels most comfortable for you. It could be a coach, it could be a teacher, it could be a family member, and what they taught you in particular. So really model how you go through that thinking for them. Ask students to think about at least one person they know personally who inspires them. If they can't think of someone, you could ask them to think of positive traits from different individuals. So that idea of frag mentoring. So maybe there's just one individual who inspires in a particular way. Ask them to write down the most important messages. And if they prefer, they could also do some sort of artistic representation instead. And then come back together as a group and share. Add the written reflections and the artistic representations to their portfolios. A couple of suggestions here from educators who've done similar lessons. One is to incorporate a thinking routine, which this particular educator said it made it easier for the students to identify first 3 words, then 2 important ideas, and a question at the end of the lesson. So that 3-2-1 thinking routine helped them. Another teacher suggested visual representation, so bringing in pictures of people who acted as mentors made it more real for their students. And then we ask that, because we believe it's possible to learn just as much from negative examples as it is from positive examples, so we ask students to identify anti-mentors. It's very important to let them know that this isn't we don't want anybody to be unkind, so please caution students to be thoughtful and not to mention anyone in particular, teachers or students, in a negative light. Instead, perhaps, think of someone without mentioning a name, or someone who others won't know. One educator suggested in the anti-mentor section, invite the students to talk about actions rather than individuals. So I can think of a particular individual a former boss who actually was unkind and used humiliation to exert power over individuals. Not mentioning any names, but just talk about the quality of just being unkind or cruel, and how that is not something that you aspire towards, and what you learn from that, the power of kindness, for example. So there's that activity. And then finally, the exit ticket is to ask the students to respond to thinking about someone you care deeply about, something you care deeply about, and with respect to that particular issue, maybe it's the environment, who is a mentor who could help you achieve what you see as the best possible solution. Helping to encourage students to recognize the importance of mentors and think about how they can reach out to them and make those connections happen.